Welcome in. Welcome into another episode of Clearing the Air with me, your host, Kevin Calare. This is the best in sports talk content, so make sure you treat it as such. Make sure you subscribe wherever you get your podcast. Make sure you follow us at all the socials at @TheRealKev_0, at ClearTheAir_pod. Hit us, follow us on YouTube. Make sure you comment, like, rate, review, all that good stuff. 5 stars only because, yeah, like I said, 5 stars only, man. It's good to be back. It was a good weekend. I hope that you all had a great weekend as well. What happened over the weekend? So it was Masters weekend. Obviously, we got the end of the NBA season, and so we've got our matchup set for the playoffs and the play-in, which I will discuss later on. Last episode, I told y'all it would be shorter than the previous episode because it went long. It was shorter, but still was long. Look, man, I'm a long-winded individual. I be trying to keep it to 30 to 35-ish minutes. Sometimes it goes long, right? I understand that about myself, okay? I know that I could be a little long-winded. Maybe I can over-explain. I apologize. I'm still dealing with this sick thing. I thought I was sick. I guess it's allergies, which is crazy to think because growing up, I never had any allergies. I didn't give a crap about the pollen. I didn't give a damn about the spring and none of that stuff. I hated bees. I stay away from bees. But just as far as like feeling sick, I never really felt any of that stuff. But I don't know what's been going on this year, but every time I'm outside for more than an hour, eyes get to watering, nose gets to stuffy. I've resorted to taking allergy medicine every day. And it's miserable, man. It's miserable. And people who get killed by allergies, even way worse than I do. I don't mean to, I feel your pain. I feel your pain. So, yeah, man, allergies are the worst. But I hope that everybody's feeling well. I thought about getting into the Masters coverage, but quite frankly, the Masters is something that I like to watch. And I really don't like to watch. I like to keep up with, watch certain people. Because I'll be honest with you, I don't really follow a lot of golf. I do enjoy the sport. I do keep up with the news of golf. But I don't really, I'm not a golf aficionado. I dabble in the sport. I'm trying to get right, but it's taking me some time. That's okay. But that's about it. So the Masters started on Thursday. I had my little Masters app. Great app, by the way. I could follow the players I wanted to follow. I could follow the featured groups. You could see holes, some of the hardest holes of the Masters. I saw Tiger because that's what we're we know there's great golfers and but a lot of us want to see Tiger. He did break the record for the most consecutive or the most Masters without missing the cut. He did make the cut, and then all of a sudden, I don't know. I guess he was struggling with his back. I didn't get to see the last 2 rounds. I was actually out golfing myself Saturday, while he was finishing up his round, and I guess I was the bad luck. I should have stayed. I should have kept watching on the app. That's on me. If it's my fault that he shot plus 10 in the 3rd round, that's on me. So going from the cut was plus 6, you went into Saturday plus 1, and by the end of the tournament, you finished in last place of those who made the cut. That's kind of crazy, but you got to shoot him some bail because he's coming a lot of surgeries, even being able to play. He had 23 holes he had to play on Friday because he started his round late due to the weather, so he couldn't finish. So he had to start his 2nd round early. Didn't get much of a break. Had to go back out there and play the 18. He did a lot, and I think that he's proud to have finished. I'm sure, obviously, he's not proud to where he ended up. I'm sure he's proud that he just was able to finish the tournament without having to withdraw, something we've seen a lot from Tiger over the years. Now, that's all that I'm giving you on Masters coverage because that's all I really, care about. It was about Tiger, and that's about it. I want to start with this, though. I want to give you guys something to think about and something to gnaw and chew on. I would assume I know most of y'all's answers to this question, but I'm going to give you this question anyway. Here it is. Is there anybody in your life that you trust so, what's the word? Implicitly? I don't know if that's the right word. You trust so wholeheartedly that you are willing to give them access to the most important things in your life, and you never think twice or look twice to what they're doing with that important stuff in your life. Think about the most important thing in your life that you manage, that you handle, whether it's on a daily basis, a weekly basis, whatever it is. It could be your kids, it could be your possessions, it could be your job, it could be money. Whatever it is, the most important thing, or not even the most important thing, we'll say in your top five most important things. It could be intellectual property, it could be whatever it is. Is there anybody in your life that you say, hey, I want you to handle that for me. I don't ever need to look at it ever again. For those of you who make a lot of money, who need an accountant, would you do that for your accountant? Where you never have to look at your money again. You never worry about what goes in that account, what goes out that account, nothing. Now, second part. How angry would you be to find out that said person who had access to that very important thing of yours stole $4.5 million from you? Hard stop. We're not going to get into why he stole $4.5 million. We're not going to get into how he or she, whoever it is, stole $4.5 million. How angry are you if somebody steals $4.5 million from you, takes advantage of the fact that you said, I'm not going to, you got it, I trust you. Now, where is this coming from, Kevin? What is this? Remember a few weeks ago, I told you guys, not really going to touch the Shohei Ohtani story. Information is still coming out. It's real iffy. There had already been like two different versions of the story already at that point. Had Arthur come on, and we kind of talked about it a little bit, but we still didn't have a whole lot going on. And it was kind of mixed with the Jonte Porter, Michael Porter's younger brother situation. And we ended up kind of turning it more into a gambling conversation as opposed to a Shohei Ohtani conversation. Well, Shohei Ohtani's interpreter is copping a plea deal because it is clear that Shohei Ohtani's interpreter stole $4.5 million from Shohei Ohtani. Mind you, this is Shohei Ohtani who speaks not a lick of English. So his interpreter is the one who makes all these business dealings. Your first thought would be, you know what, let's not get there. My initial thought when this story came out was, and this is where everyone's initial thought may be different just depending on where they grew up culturally, who they've been around, stuff like that. My initial thought was, here's another athlete. This is the first big name athlete. But here's another athlete that was probably gambling where they shouldn't have been gambling. And here's his homeboy because his interpreter is his homeboy, at least from what I've heard. Which, by the way, I'm not a reporter. Okay, let's be clear. I'm not a reporter. So there may be some things I say that I'm speaking out of speculation. There may be some things that I haven't went and fact checked. I'm not a reporter. These are things I'm hearing from other people's public platforms, whether they're ESPN or whether they're affiliates or whether they're other sports media. Okay, let's be clear here. But I thought, okay, this is a homeboy Hall of Fame. This is the biggest star to get caught in a gambling scandal. And this is the biggest star baseball's got right now. He can't go down. This is not Calvin Ridley gambling on Falcons games. This is a little bit different than that. So, hey, say it was me. Say it was me. We'll go in there. We'll figure it out on the back end, but let's keep you safe, right? What actually happened, and the first story was, oh, yeah, that money was paying off one of my debts. And that was kind of why, because we were like, But he was stealing, just straight stealing. A couple of things I'm hearing, like I said, could be speculation. It could just be, and some of this is reporting. I think the New York Times is the one that dropped the article. Everybody's kind of picking up on it and taking bits and pieces and going different ways with it or whatever. So his interpreter wasn't just like we were all curious how someone can steal $4.5 million from you, regardless of how much money you've got, and you not notice. But when your interpreter, because again, you don't speak a lick English, when your interpreter has set up with the bank to where you don't get bank notifications. So, like we all have it where we'll get that notification on our phone, like, there's been some weird activity. Can you confirm that this is you, right? And you got to go, whatever. Or they'll say, hey, you tried to pay with your card gets declined. The bank then sends you a text, hey, your account's on hold real quick. Please confirm these last 5 transactions. This usually happens if you go to a different state or go to a different country. So if you didn't call, like when I went to Cancun last year, I had to call my bank and tell them, hey, by the way, on these dates, I'm going to be in Cancun. So if I'm using my card, do not start declining my card because it looks weird because it's in a different area. I'm letting you guys know ahead of time so that I don't run into a situation where I'm sitting at the front of the line somewhere because I need to buy something and I can't because my card is getting declined and I got people behind me. And of course you all know how it goes. You got the daggone cash register. You saying out loud, yelling and screaming, it's saying it's got declined. So the whole store can hear. Y'all know how that be. But anyway, so that's the kind of stuff that happens. If not, you'll get even sometimes I think I went to Vegas and it was a very similar thing. Because I'm from North Carolina. My money's usually spent in North Carolina. I went to Vegas and I pulled out money out of the ATM. And then the next time I tried to do that later on, it wasn't working. And I got the text from my bank, hey, this is looking weird. Can you make sure this is working? Can you confirm? Da, 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 da. And so that was how that happened. But so those notifications, though, weren't going to Shohei Ohtani. They were going to his interpreter. I'm hearing that all the other Shohei Ohtani team personnel, like accountant, lawyer, whoever those people are for him, we're told, hey, don't worry about that account. That account is something separate. He wants to keep that private. I mean, when you work for a multimillionaire, and when I say multi-million, I don't mean like $3 million. I'm talking $700 million. If they say, hey, that account is private, well, if I'm your lawyer, they ain't gonna do me. If I'm your, if I'm your financial advisor, maybe. But for the most part, if I work for you, if I'm the guy who shines your shoes, I don't care what you do with that account over here, as long as what you're doing with my account stays right. You know what I'm saying? So everybody, hey, y'all don't worry about that. I'm hearing that he was impersonating Shohei Ohtani for certain stuff. Now, you got to remember, the interpreter set the account up. The interpreter has all the information needed, but the bank knows it's Shohei Ohtani's account. But he's a Japanese man, and he's got every number that he needs, right? He's probably, if Shohei doesn't speak a lick of English, then every single bit of Shohei is of his information, the person who speaks the English for him has to know. Because when someone says, what's your social security, right? If you're trying to buy a house or whatever it is, you got to be able to say that. Even if you don't have that stuff like in the tuck, like on you, like saved on your phone, if they ask him, you have to tell him what they're asking. I'm sure he's had to ask that question enough times to where now he knows it or he's logged it. Boom, social security number. He's already got the bank routing and account number and whatever else he needs. So I've got all the information I need from date of birth. I've probably got social security number. I've got all the bank information. I'm a Japanese man, and this is a bank who's never met Shohei Ohtani, who doesn't know what he sounds like. All they know is, okay, yep, you got the information to verify. I'm sure now banks will do a little bit of different stuff. I'm sure that bank will also change the way that they do business because of this. Because I mean, hey, that bank, it's kind of a black mark. Like somebody stole $4.5 million from the biggest baseball athlete in the world. Y'all were the bank who the money was getting stolen from, and somehow he had no clue. And I don't know, maybe when you're doing, I don't know, maybe when they're doing money like transactions and whatnot with a certain amount of money, maybe they need to do some visual, facial, more than just an ID. Maybe you need to come in, sir, you need to sign X, Y, and Z, like you need to do it. And even still, if that happened, there's still this level of, okay, yeah, but my interpreter's got to be here because I can't understand what you're saying. And the interpreter could say, yeah, man, he's basically saying like, you know, every this much money we're going to pull out, every week we're going to pull out this many thousands of dollars for your taxes or to save to go to whatever. And Shohei's going to be like, oh, okay, that's what he said. All right, cool. Because there's no other way to confirm that. Whatever the case is, long story short, this interpreter's got Shohei right where he wants him. There's nothing he can do, right? He has to trust this man illicitly, and from what we're hearing, he has good reason to. It's not like he doesn't know the guy, has never known the guy. This guy is supposed to have been his homeboy, and he's been interpreting for him forever. But this makes me curious as to like what else, because I feel like, I'm not trying to say this like I don't know the man. I don't know much about the man, so I'm not going to say that he's a thief at heart. But I will say that if you're willing to steal $4.5 million from me, what else are you willing to steal from me? What other information are you willing to keep from me, right, for yourself? For whatever reason you might want it. What other lie do you have to tell? If you're able to lie, if you want to lie on my behalf, or not on my behalf, if you want to lie in my name, you want to use my name for your lie, what else are you willing to do? Because at the end of the day, people are looking for this money, and they're going to go to Shohei and they're going to say, yo, dog. So what if Shohei got hurt because of this? You were willing to risk that because you wanted to gamble. I can't trust you. And if you were willing to do that, I know people say, oh, it was just $4.5 million, but it's sometimes when someone does something, it's not just about the act of what they did. It's about them showing you what they're capable of, them showing you where their morals lie, because then that can answer a lot of questions. I'm somebody who, me personally, I don't do well with liars, with lying, like habitual liars, people who tell lies. Me and my friends joke all the time, like about lying, but it's not like we're not telling lies to like other people that affect stuff. We'll lie to each other. Yeah, what you doing? I'm in the bed. I know you're not in the bed. What you doing? Like that type of stuff. All right, I lie, whatever. But as far as like real stuff, I can't have any sort of relationship with someone who habitually lies, right? And some people say, oh, well, what about like white lies? Lies where, they're telling you this to spare your feelings, or they're telling you this to keep something from you that would hurt you or protect you in however way they feel they're protecting you. Well, my thing is this. It's not anybody's job in this world. I'm a grown man. It's not anybody's job in this world to protect me. Okay? The best way you can protect me is giving me all the information. Instead of letting me walk down this path in the dark, give me a damn flashlight. That's how you protect me. Rather than saying, oh, if you go down there, I don't want you to see what you don't want to see. If it's something that pertains, I probably need to see it. I can't grow as a person being coddled because the people around me want to protect me. No. I need to go see what the hell the real shit is that's going on outside. But for people who lie, even about some of the simplest stuff, no, I didn't take that piece of candy. I didn't have no reason to lie. Well, I can't trust what you're saying. Now imagine being my interpreter where I don't even speak the language. Come on, man. So now my man's copping a plea deal. I'm hearing he texted the bookie. Bookie's like, oh, I mean, well, you didn't really steal from him. And his response was, and I'm paraphrasing here, his response was, well, technically I did steal from him. I don't think that was the best thing to put in a text message. So long story short, my man is dead to rights. And so he's copping a plea deal. Shohei Ohtani clearly has a new interpreter. I don't know who got it for him. He should probably have 3 or 4, right? Just to make sure everybody can confirm what's being said because, hey, I know that the interpreters are really smart and being an interpreter is a job, but that don't mean that sometimes people don't get the English wrong. Us as Americans can read a contract in English and get 2 different things out of it. We do it with music. We get 2-3 different things out of song lyrics. We get 2-3 different things out of a photo or out of an art painting, right? So just because you can speak the language doesn't mean you're taking the right stuff out of it. So you should probably have a few. Oh God, but boy, that's some stuff right there. So hey, back to my original question. I wonder if y'all. I certainly don't. I can think of one person in my life. Oh, set aside family, mom, dad, like that stuff, right? That's given stuff. I can think of one person in my life who is not blood related to me, who I trust with just about everything. With everything, every bit of information, right? Even with that being the case, he still wouldn't have access to my money. The reason for that is not because I believe that he would do anything with it, that he would steal it from me, that he put me in a position where I'm high and dry. But it's because if something does happen and I have to start investigating what happened to my money, it's good to know, oh, it wasn't him. Because he doesn't have PIN numbers. He doesn't have, it would be a lot worse to say, well, man, you were the only other person who had my account and routing number, and you were the only other person who could access this stuff if I wasn't the one doing it. No, it's a lot better to say, hey, yo, dog, I need you to help me find who did this because I know it wasn't you because it couldn't have been. So he ain't the one. And that's the person I trust the most. But again, I don't know, man. If he also had to translate from whatever to English for me because I wasn't in the States, I don't know. Maybe that would be different. I feel like there's a lot of people here that drop the ball along the way, right? Why does this guy not have an interpreter from that the team provides? Even if he wants his man's, okay, yeah, but we're gonna have one for you here as well. The bank obviously dropped the ball. Shohei dropped the ball. And then this interpreter guy, and I'm trying not to say his name because I'm really not trying to put his name on wax like that. This interpreter guy, yeah, it's over for you, big dog. All right, so we just had last week's episode. We kind of were previewing the NBA. What, the playoffs is here. Remember, I told you I'm super excited. This is it. This is what I'm looking for. I don't give a damn about 82 games during the season. I don't care about the Christmas Day games. I don't care about the MLK Day games. I don't care. Give me NBA playoffs. Now, with that being said, I'm not necessarily a fan of the current setup. I still think that the first round doesn't need to be 7 games. I think the first round can probably go like 5 because really I find myself like, all right, first round matchups, maybe they're intriguing, but for the most part, I'm just like ready. Okay, come on, let's win these in 4, win these in 5 so we can get to the real stuff. So I would much rather than be a little more interesting to me than be in 5 because now, or even 3, because now you mess around in that lower seeded team wins game 1, and it's like, oh, shoot. Like, they got to go win 2, and they got to go on the road for game 2. Yeah. That you'd probably see a lot more upsets if the first round was 3 games, 5 maybe, but definitely 3. But that's okay. That's okay. So NBA playoffs is here. We have all of our standings now are done. Remember, I was talking to you guys that, Mavericks could be the 4 seed or the 5 seed and da-da-da. We got all the matchups. Everything is here. Okay. So, like I mentioned, we have a lot of big names in the playing game. Steph and the Warriors, once again, for like the 3rd year in a row or whatever it is, like 3rd out of 4 years, whatever it is, pretty much almost every year the play-ins existed, the Warriors have been in it. The Lakers have been in it. And they're in it again. But the Lakers got the Pelicans, who they blew out on the last game of the season, which is kind of crazy because if the Pelicans would have won, they could have avoided the play-in and we'd have had the Suns in there, which would have then been KD, Booker, Beal, Bron, AD, and Steph all in the play-in game. But anyway, in the play-in tournament. But anyway, so you got the Lakers and the Pelicans. The winner of that gets, here's your present. We're winning the 8-7 game. You get the Denver Nuggets. You get the Nuggets. There is this thing going around. Shout out to Nick Wright of the What's Right with Nick Wright podcast, as well as FS1 First Things First. One of my favorite media personalities to listen to his podcast, his show, stuff like that. He said that the Lakers' best chance to make it far is they're going to have to go through the Nuggets, and the best time to play them is round 1 because that's like the round where everybody's getting 2, maybe even 3 days off. Lakers are an older team, so they can be fresh, get those breaks in between, but they need to win, right? They need, obviously, to get the Nuggets, to get the 7 seed, they got to win the play-in game. But you don't want to play the play-in game, lose, have to play 2 days later, to where if you win, you start your first round series against the number 1 seed 2 more days later, which is the young Thunder who want to run up and down the court. I don't really think that it really matters whether they play the Thunder or if they were to play the Wolves. Like, I personally think that the Lakers are going to win their first round series if they're playing everybody but Denver. I think Denver's the only team that has a chance to beat the Lakers in the first round. So it'll be interesting because I don't think the Lakers, if they play round 1, I promise you the Lakers don't get swept again. That's not going to happen. The Lakers don't get swept. I asked you guys this last week. I'll ask you again. Are the Nuggets inevitable? Because as long as we've been watching the NBA, only one force has been inevitable, and that's Mr. LeBron James. So we're going to find out the Nuggets are inevitable, but I don't think the Thunder can beat them. I don't think the Timberwolves can beat them, and it's really the LeBron James effect. But the Nuggets sweeping him, there will not be a sweep, right? The Pelicans, they weren't up for the moment. They were there. The Suns had a tough schedule. The Pelicans weren't up for the moment. Neither were the Kings. We'll talk about the Kings here shortly. So I'm going Lakers with that one. So we'll get Lakers Nuggets first round, which will be a great first round. And then you got Warriors and Kings, which if you're the Warriors, you should be happy because what you didn't want is the 9-10 game being the winner-take-all game, and you had to play the Lakers, right? Now, granted, you can beat anybody any given night as the Lakers, as so can the Lakers, but every single time LeBron and Steph match up in these play-in games, the Lakers get the better of them because the Lakers are just too big. It's really just a matter of, okay, is Anthony Davis making mid-range shots tonight or not? But so the Warriors didn't want that smoke. So now you can avoid the Lakers. Well, assuming the Lakers win. Now the Lakers lose, So you got the Warriors, you got the Kings. The Kings were also another team who weren't up to the task. They shouldn't have been in the playing game at all. They went like 1-5 in their last 6 games or something like that. Yeah. So Kings are reeling. But it'll be a good game. It'll be a rematch of what was it, 2 seasons ago or was it last season where the Warriors beat the Kings in 7? Oh, it was last season because the Kings were the darlings and the Warriors got them first round and got them up out of here. So they get a chance to get some get back. And I guess I'm going to go, like, I think I'm going to go Kings, but because it is in Sacramento, but I mean, it wouldn't surprise me if the Warriors win. And if the Warriors play the Pelicans are also too big. But Draymond's a good X factor, like a good, like, cancel out for Zion. And when I say cancel out, Draymond's not going to come put up the same number Zion puts up. But Draymond's one of the rare people who has a better chance of guarding Zion than most. Most people are too small to guard him at the forward spot, and they're too slow to guard him at the power forward spot. So that tends to happen. Draymond is another tweener, as you know, he likes to always talk about how he was labeled a tweener coming out of college. All right, dog, we get it. But anyway, sorry, that's another story from the time. Anyway, so I think that's a good matchup. And then so I think it'll be Kings and Pelicans for a chance to play the 1 seed, which is the Thunder. And I quite frankly do not give a damn who wins that. I just don't. I guess if I had a preference, I'd choose Kings. I think Kings versus Thunder is a lot more fun to watch than Pelicans versus Thunder. But then again, it's Zion. So anyway, that's the West. Other matchups in the West, Clippers and Mavericks. Hello. Luka's first, I think it was his first 2 playoff appearances. One was in the bubble, one was after the bubble, beating the Clippers. It was the Doc Rivers-led Clippers. That matters. It was the Doc Rivers-led Clippers. Now it is the Tyronn Lue-led Clippers. But it's still Paul George and Kawhi. There is no like Montrezl Harrell anymore. There is no Lou Williams anymore. No Pat Bev anymore. But, you know, there's no Nicholas Batum anymore. But it's the Clippers. So that's going to be interesting. I think the Mavericks are going to get them boys up out of here. Kyrie and Luka, they're going to get them boys up out of here. And then, but Russ is back, and the Clippers play well when Russ is playing off the bench. They play well. They do. And then you got the Timberwolves and the Suns, which is also a great matchup because you got Ant-Man, you got the Slim Reaper and Kevin Durant with Devin Booker, Bradley Beal. It's going to be a lot of shit talking. You got Rudy Gobert. I don't know if Karl Anthony Towns is playing. I don't really know what's going on with that. But that's a huge blow. I mean, I understand that they still are playing well, like they still play well without him. But when it comes to the playoffs, like, it becomes about getting buckets. You have to be able to get buckets, right? And no disrespect, Naz Reid's not. When it gets tight, I need more than just Anthony Edwards and Rudy Gobert, right? Like the Minnesota Timberwolves without Karl Anthony Towns are just the Utah Jazz when it was Donovan Mitchell and Rudy Gobert. That's the exact team that they are. And of course, they also have Mike Conley. Look at that. Like yeah, that's it. That's it. The Minnesota Timberwolves without Karl Anthony Towns are just the Utah Jazz when they were 1 seed and not going nowhere. So that's going to be huge. And you just got the Suns who put all their chips in this year, kind of had a disappointing year, but then they just like steadily were just kind of rolling. And next thing you know, they're the 6th seed. They got out of the play-in. They're solid. So those are 2 matchups I'm excited to watch. And then, of course, Lakers Nuggets as well. And then you go over to the East, and usually the East is like not where the fun is, but let's be honest, I'm East Coast, right? So I will be watching the East games. I will be struggling to catch the West games. That just is what it is. Also, of course, next week when the playoffs start, I'm going to be out of town in Florida. Oh, yeah. PSA, by the way, there will be no episodes next week because I am out of town. But we'll get back in a couple weeks after. So just another thing, my bad. But anyway, playing game. This is kind of bullshit, but the 76ers and the Heat are playing the playing game, the 7-8 game, because the Sixers lost and dropped so far in the standings once Embiid got hurt. And then he came back. And so now a team that is way better than where they finished is the 7 seed. So what did Milwaukee do? Milwaukee said, yeah, we're going to go ahead and sit some guys. We're not playing Philly round well. We don't want that. Look, man, like I said, y'all keep telling me Doc Rivers is a great coach. I'm waiting to see that. Doc Rivers didn't want no parts of Philly. Milwaukee didn't want no parts of Philly. The fans don't want no parts of Philly. Milwaukee said, we're going to go to that 6 seed so we can play the team that is brand new here in Indiana, who, by the way, has been cooking them all season. But that's neither here nor there. It's playoff time. Things change. Things are different. Milwaukee is, those are veterans. They have won rings. Dame hasn't, but Giannis has, Middleton has, Brook Lopez has, Bobby Portis has. These guys, they know what time it is. They know the assignment. This is going to be new for Indiana, but that crowd is going to be hyped because Indiana's back in the playoffs since, I want to say, Oladipo. And of course, before that, Paul George. So it's still going to be electric over there. But Milwaukee, it's back to the point. Milwaukee knew we don't want Philly, and we don't want Miami. We don't want either one. Right. So those two are going to slug it out for the opportunity to play the Knicks and send the Knicks home. And everyone's excited about the Knicks, especially everybody in New York. But they're going to go send the Knicks home, whichever team. And then, because the Knicks don't have Julius Randle, and that really sucks. But also, there's a gift and a curse with having him. And then lastly, you got the Bulls and the Hawks, and we don't care. Right? That's the 9-10. We'll just go ahead and say the Hawks beat the Bulls. Now, remember the Bulls were 4 seconds away from beating the Heat last year, I think, to be the 8 seed. Because this goes back to that magic of March Madness. It's only one game. It only takes one game. So with these playing games, you might mess around and have the Hawks beat the Bulls, and then the Hawks catch the Sixers slipping, right? Or the Heat slipping, whichever one. And the Hawks mess around and get in because they only got to win one game, right? But I don't think it's going to happen. Sixers, Heat, it doesn't really matter to me which way it goes. Obviously, that game is important to them because they don't want Boston. Between Boston, New York, and Milwaukee, of course they want New York because New York was supposed to be the 4th best team in this conference behind the Sixers, Boston, and Milwaukee. So you want New York. You're hoping you get to play number 4. So if you're the Sixers, you're like, ooh, this is a chance to play New York, get them out of here early, and then we'll go play Milwaukee, who's going to be running up and down a track meet with Indiana. And then if you lose, though, then you're like, well, now we got to play again against the Hawks or the Bulls. You probably should beat them, but then you got to go play Boston. So they don't want Boston. So that game's going to be pretty intense. And the only other matchup I haven't talked about is Cleveland and Orlando. Donovan Mitchell and the Cavs. And there's just no telling how good they are. Mitchell missed a lot of time. Garland missed some time. Those are 2 guards. So there's just no telling. I don't think Cleveland's up for it, man. I don't think that they're built for this time basketball. I think that the Cavs and the Knicks are similar in how they want to play. The Cavs play that in the regular season, and they can't really sustain that in the postseason when everybody's playing that way, while the Knicks play this way all the time. So Cavs and Orlando. Orlando's a nice story, as I mentioned before. They're the 5 seed. I think Orlando's going to beat them. Orlando's got a top defense in the league. Orlando's got size. They can score. I think that they're going to win. And so because of that, I'm actually really interested in Orlando and Cleveland. I'm really interested. And let's see, when do the playoffs start? Because now that I think about it, I might be in Orlando. I'm in Orlando all next week. So whenever the playoffs start, that's a little interesting because I might just be in town, and I'm going to be very curious, what the city of Orlando, the vibe out there. So their first game, they'll play on the 20th, blah, blah, blah. Oh, they don't have the rest schedule. But if they play on the 20th, that means they play 2 or 3 days later, which will be the 22nd or 23rd. And then they'll play 3 days later, 26th. So yeah, I'll be in Orlando for at least one of those games. I don't know if I'm going to go, but I'll be there. So yeah, man, you got some interesting first round matchups. You got Luka against the Clippers, and he's been their Achilles heel. Luka's going to perform and outperform, and I'm kind of hoping that I'm looking at my papers to see the matchups again. I'm hoping the Mavericks win because I'd love to see Dallas and Oklahoma City. And then you got on the other side, you got Nuggets and either Suns or Timberwolves. Timberwolves gave the Nuggets the most trouble last year, but you got the Suns as well. And we'll just see what the Lakers, Steph and LeBron do. They're always going to be on primetime, blah, blah, blah. And then on the other side, man, like I said, Orlando and Cleveland's the one that really intrigues me. And then Philly Miami. So it's playoff time, man. Like I said, it's here. It's time. The time is now. Yeah, man, that's great. And with that being said, that's going to wrap it up. That is going to wrap it up. Thank you so much for listening to Clearing the Air with me, your host, Kevin Calaire, the best in sports talk content. So make sure you treat it as such. Make sure that you go and subscribe to the podcast on YouTube. Go and follow on Instagram. Me on Instagram, you'll see all the reels. You can follow the YouTube channel, see all the shorts, see all these videos, the segments separated, full videos, Clearing the Air Pod, anywhere, all the platforms. Go subscribe, rate it, review it. Make sure you give it 5 stars. I really appreciate y'all. Like I said, next week I won't be doing any episodes because I'll be out of town. So taking a break from the mic, from the camera, and I'll come back with all that week's worth of stuff. And y'all can get a break from me. Y'all can catch up on episodes that y'all have missed. Go catch up on those. Yeah, man. So until next time, y'all know how it goes. I'm out, and I'll see you guys in a couple of days.